morning. It's Tuesday. Welcome back. So today we are looking at mammals. Okay, so let's check again. We have vertebrates and invertebrates as our two biggest classifications of all animals. And then we have cold-blooded and warm-blooded. We have looked at fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and now we're going to look at mammals. Okay, so again, you have already read about mammals. We've already had discussion, so this is our refresher to make sure we understand and we have all those cobwebs out from spring break. Okay, so to be a mammal, most mammals, not all, but most mammals give birth to live young. They don't lay eggs, most of them. You do have the exception, but there's most of them. They have hair or fur. They breathe with lungs. They give milk to their babies. In order to be a mammal, you have to have almost all those things. So a platypus is a mammal, but a platypus lays eggs. Everything else, it does the same as a mammal, though. It feeds its young with milk. It breathes with lungs. It has fur. So they have classified it as a mammal. Okay? All right. Most pets are mammals, so your dogs, your cats, your hamsters, your I was gonna say gophers, your guinea pigs, and your mice, rats. They're all mammals. Ferrets. The list goes on and on and on. So I wonder what Humphrey is. What would Humphrey be? Most of the farm animals are also mammals. Horses and cows and pigs, sheep, goats, okay? Those are all mammals as well. Now, chickens, if you have a chicken farm, chickens would not be mammals, right? Because a chicken is a bird, okay? All right. Mammals are not the largest group of animals, but they are the most common. They're the biggest, like as in big, like that species itself is big. You know, like lions are big and elephants are big and whales are big, but they're not the most, okay? So fish and reptiles and birds have a lot more species in them than mammals do, okay? All mammals have 4 chambers to their heart, okay? All mammals have 3 bones in their ear, which is pretty interesting, I thought. All mammals breathe with lungs, as we saw on our list here. And all mammals feed their babies with milk until they can eat different kind of food, right? Many mammals have hair or fur all over their entire body. Okay. Mammals can live in a lot of different places. They can live on land. They can live in the water. Now, they don't live, back and forth, but they can live in land or in water. They can live where it snows. They can live where it's tropical. God designed a lot of different types of mammals, and they live like all over the earth. Okay. Okay, so mammals that live in water, they still have lungs and they still need to breathe oxygen. So dolphins can hold their breath for 10 to 15 minutes. But if they aren't able to come up for air for some reason, then they will actually drown like you or I would, okay? Whales can actually hold their breath from 1 to 2 hours before they have to come up for air. But again, because they are mammals, they have lungs, they have to come up and get a breath of air from the top of the water, come up out of the water a little bit to get air back into their lungs. And then they can hold their breath again for a very, very long time. Much longer than you and I can hold our breath, that's for sure. Almost all mammals are born alive and need their mother's milk until they can eat other food, which I already said, except for the platypus, which we already had talked about. Most mammals, when they're born, are small and helpless. So, like cats are born and they don't even have their eyes open. And puppies are the same way. Okay, bunnies. In my backyard, when I lived in Wisconsin, I was growing up. There was actually a little bunny nest. So the mom bunny had dug a hole in our backyard and had laid. I've never seen one before. It's pretty cool. Had laid her fur inside the nest and had her babies, laid them in there, and then like she must have been off to get food or something, and they were all these little tiny little bunnies, and their eyes were like closed. They were like over top of each other and falling and stuff. I guess they were looking for mom, and I guess she was out getting food for herself. So, because she has to eat in order to be able to feed the babies their milk too. So that was pretty neat. Um, some are some babies though don't depend on their mom for a real long time. So like mice, it's only a few weeks. But then other mammal babies, they depend on their mom for a really long time. So like gorillas stay with their mom for years. So it varies widely on how helpless they are. Not all mammals that are born are helpless for very long. Some of them, like giraffes and uh, colts, foals. There you go. I was thinking fawns, but anyway, they can stand up within a few hours of being born, and they can run and do all kinds of things. Elephants, the same thing. It doesn't take them very long. Okay, but like dogs and cats, it takes them a while because they can't even see yet. All right, does that make sense? So there's a lot of variation in the mammal kingdom. All right, most mammals have 4 legs, but some have fins or flippers that they use. Mammals, we're going to look at the different groups of mammals here that we've talked about before, but we're going to expound upon that, okay? So there are groups of mammals, and the first group we're going to talk about are hooved mammals. So hooved mammals have a hard part on their foot, and that's the part that touches the ground. It's to protect them. It's for protection. It's really hard, and these mammals are actually divided into 2 classifications. So the hooved animals, you have even number of toes and odd number of toes, and scientists actually divide them by how many toes they have. So some examples of even numbered toed animals are sheep, deer, giraffes, hippopotamuses. They all have even number toes on their hoofs, and the odd number toes, hoofed animals. Some examples are mules and horses and zebras. So that was pretty interesting. I thought that they divide. I know that scientists divide down, 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 down until they get to a robin or a cat. Well, actually, like even a certain kind of cat. Okay, but I didn't realize that they divided the hooved mammals into 2 groups. So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, so the second kind of mammal is a flying mammal. We only have one flying mammal, and that's the bat. That's it. That is the only flying mammal that there is. There is no other. So there's 2 types of bats. There's nocturnal, which are most bats. Most bats sleep during the day, and they're out at night hunting. They're hunting like insects. Okay, and then there's a bat that actually is awake during the day. He's not nocturnal, which I thought was pretty interesting. He is the large fruit bat. So the large fruit bat, because he's alive he's always alive. Because he's awake during the day, he actually doesn't have any echolocation. So echolocation is when the bat sends out a signal, and then it comes back to them and it lets them know like where things are. So the nocturnal bats, the ones that are hunting for bugs in the air, they actually have echolocation, and it tells them exactly where the insects are, and so they're able to go and grab those insects. So the nocturnal bats have smaller eyes, but they use their echolocation. Whereas the large fruit bat doesn't need that because it's daytime, he can see what he's looking at. He can find his fruit, okay? All right. Actually, we had a bat in our attic when I was growing up in Wisconsin. And my dad was trying to get the bat out of our attic because bats live in a lot of different places. They mostly live like in caves, and some of them live like in trees. They live in rocks, okay? But this one, he was confused, and he decided he should live in the attic of my house, which was not going to be a good place for him to live. So at first, my dad tried to get him out, like with getting him in a pillowcase, but because of his echolocation, he could figure out where the pillowcase was coming from, and he would dart around the pillowcase, and my mom was screaming because there was a bat, and I was like hiding because there was a bat. And then my dad is like, okay, I have to find something that he can't really tell where it is. So he went and he got a racket, a tennis racket, which I guess is harder. I don't know if you're finding little insects. I don't know that it makes a lot of difference. But my dad said it did. And so my dad went and got a tennis racket to hit the bat. So he finally hit the bat, and then he scooped him up in the pillowcase, and then he took him outside, and he dumped him out of the pillowcase, and then came back in, and the bat wasn't dead or anything. He was just like stunned, like knocked out. And so he came back to, and he flew away. And then the next morning, my mom told my dad he had to go up and find how the bat got in and close it up so no bats could get in anymore. So sometimes bats don't live where they're supposed to, yeah? I hope you like that little story. All right. So the next type of animal we're going to talk about, in our book they call them marine animals, but really they're called aquatic mammals. That is the real name. The aquatic mammals actually are split into two groups. All this splitting, yeah? So aquatic mammals are split into two groups. And the two groups are split into are based on the kind of water that the animals live in. So marine mammals are actually living in the seawater, salt water, yeah? So sea, we'll say salt, okay? So they are saltwater animals. And regular aquatic animals, they actually live in freshwater. Now, to be aquatic, you have to spend a lot of your life in the water. Not all your life, but a lot of it, okay? Some aquatic mammals do spend their entire life in water, like dolphins and whales. But then others don't, like walruses and seals. They come up, to have babies and stuff. They don't do everything in the water. But like a dolphin or a whale, they actually have their babies in the water, okay? So you spend most of your life in the water in order to be aquatic, but you don't have to spend your whole life in the water to be aquatic. So, believe it or not, I know you're not going to be surprised by this, but they also divide the animals even further. So some marine mammals, which remember they're the ones that live in the salt water, they divide them into 5 different categories. So the first category they divide it into is a pinniped. Okay? Pinniped. Have you ever heard that before? Let's see if I spelled it right. Nope. Pinniped. Pinniped. Okay? So a pinniped is a kind of marine mammal, and pinnipeds are seals, walruses, and sea lions. those are all in the category of a pinniped. Okay? The next one, I don't remember how to pronounce. Cetaceans, maybe? I don't know. I looked it up, but I now forgot how to say it. C-A-N-S. So I'm guessing it's cetaceans, maybe? Okay, so a cetacean is a whale, a dolphin, or a porpoise. Thought that was interesting as well. Then we have sea otters, we have manatees, and we have polar bears. Okay, those all go under the marine mammals. So let's add them. Sea otters, polar bears, and manatees. Okay, those are all the kinds of marine animals that there are, the categories of them. Okay, now aquatic animals are in fresh water. Okay, and there aren't very many. So there's platypuses. Let me grab this. And river otters. Okay, those are the only two groups of aquatic animals that are in your book anyway. All right, so most of the aquatic animals, marine and aquatic, most of them have very little fur or hair, except of course for a polar bear and the sea otters. They have a lot of hair, the otters do, okay? Now the way you can tell the difference between a sea otter and a river otter, besides the fact of where they live, one lives in the sea, duh, and one lives in a river, yeah, but also they swim differently, which I thought was fascinating. So sea otters actually swim on their backs, okay, just like the one that's in your book. The picture that's in your book is actually a sea otter. But river otters swim on their tummies, okay? That's pretty interesting. I wonder why that is, but it's pretty interesting to discover that one swims on their tummies and one swims on their backs. Pretty cool. All right, our next category that we have for mammals are upright. Okay? Upright mammals, they spend much of their lives in trees, okay? They have 4 legs. You probably don't think of them as 4 legs, but they are 4 legs. It's just that they use their front legs kind of like hands. They can grab things with them, okay, like lemurs and monkeys. They can kind of grab things with them, and those are examples of upright mammals, okay? In fact, the monkeys use their tail as a 4th hand. All right. Monkeys are divided into 2 groups. There's Old World monkeys and New World monkeys. So the ones that spend their time on the ground and in the trees are called Old World monkeys, and the ones that spend almost all their time in the trees are called New World monkeys. I bet you guessed that, right? New World monkeys are located in Central and South America. That's where you can find them. Okay? Our next category is gnawing mammals. So as you can see, gnawing starts with a G. The G is silent. Okay? Gnawing mammals. So gnawing mammals are mammals that have a really big front teeth, and their teeth just keep growing and growing and growing. So what they need to do is they need to chew on stuff to prevent their teeth from just continuing to grow. So it wears them down and it also sharpens them. Because if they're, imagine if your teeth kept growing and you didn't do anything to gnaw them down. Pretty soon they'd be like at your feet. And you'd be trying to walk with your teeth hanging out at your feet, yeah? So that would be really difficult. So what they do is they chew on things. They chew on tree bark. If you have one as a pet, you have to put things in there to chew on. Remember how Humphrey got a dog biscuit? That's a really good thing. Oh, for a gnawing mammal to have in order to keep his teeth down. Oh, what kind of mammal was Humphrey? All right. So examples of gnawing mammals are beavers, squirrels, mice, porcupines, and hamsters. Okay. All right. So the next one, the book calls it a pouch. Pouch mammal. Pouched. Okay? But that's not really the correct word. Kind of like marine wasn't really the correct word. It's actually aquatic. Pouched mammals really isn't the right word either. They're called marsupials. Okay? So marsupials are kind of mammal that has a pouch on the outside of them. Okay? And the whole purpose of their pouch is for a place for their baby to go and grow up. Okay? So inside the pouch, there's a place that they can get milk. There's a place that they can grow. And most of the animals that are marsupials are found in Australia or the islands that surround Australia, like Tasmania. So that's where most of them live. The only marsupial that does not live there is a marsupial that lives in North America, and that's called the possum. Okay? Possum starts with an O, but the O is silent. Just possum. Okay? And I have a story. I know you're shocked. So when I lived in Wisconsin, my dad lived in Wisconsin. I was married. I lived somewhere else by then. And he called my husband up and he said, there's this thing in my garage and I don't know what it is. And it's ugly and it's horrible. And I went to hit it with a shovel and it grabbed the shovel from me. And he's all freaked out about it. And my husband says, that's a possum. And my dad says, no, we're in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's too far north for possums. We don't have possums here. And my husband started describing it and said, is the face like super ugly? And he's just talking all about it. And my dad's like, yeah, that's it. And my husband said, it was a possum. So there's my possum story. I don't know how my dad finally got the possum out of the garage, and I don't know how the possum got into the garage, but he was pretty freaked out when that possum took that shovel from him. And that just really freaked him out a little bit. So there's my possum story. See, bat stories, possum stories. I got all kinds of stories. Okay, so our next animal is a hunting animal. So I'm just going to put it up here because I've run out of room, so ignore the invertebrates. All right, our hunting mammal. Hunting mammals are predators, okay? Predator mammals, they go and they hunt other mammals for food, other animals. It doesn't have to be a mammal. So like a fox. A fox is a hunting mammal. But foxes don't just eat mice and things. They also eat fruits and vegetables, okay? So it's not just that they are carnivores only. They could be omnivores as well, all right? But they do hunt for their food. So your little doggy at home is a hunting mammal, okay? And your little kitty cat at home is a hunting mammal, all right? They can and do hunt. Have you ever seen your cat go after a mouse? Another story. Okay, so Sam was the name of my cat. And Sam would chase around mice. But Sam wasn't a great hunting animal because he thought it was just like a game of chase. So he would get the mouse cornered and he would bat the mouse around and the mouse would squeak, squeak, squeak like crazy. And then the mouse would run away and Sam would chase the mouse again and he'd pounce on the mouse and bat him around and he'd squeak. And this would go on till my dad or my mom got something and hit the mouse with it. So Sam would find the mice, but he just thought they were a fun toy to play with. And yes, my son's name is Sam too, but he's not named after my cat, okay? Just in case you were wondering. All right. Let's continue. So other examples of hunting mammals are wolves, coyotes, lions, and tigers, okay? So now I'm going to talk to you about us, humans. Okay, so humans, as we have the characteristics of mammals, scientists, okay, who have a worldview that is a non-biblical worldview, have put us in with mammals as an animal, okay? Now remember we've talked about people are not animals. People are people. They were created in God's image, which means we have attributes of God. Not that we are God, we are not. But we have attributes of God. We can fellowship with God. God breathed his life into man, okay? We are not on the level of animals. Again, remember we've talked about your worldview affects how you think about things. So biblical worldview, if you're looking at the Bible and you're looking at humans, we are definitely in our own category. If you are looking at everything on earth as being animals, then the scientists have put us in the mammal category. But please remember, we are not animals, okay? So God created us separately. He breathed the breath of life into us. He also told mankind that they were supposed to take care of the earth. They were supposed to manage the earth. They were supposed to understand how things worked and that they were supposed to take care of things. So the reason we're studying about animals is so that we can better take care of the animals that God placed on the earth. That doesn't mean we worship animals above people, right? We've talked about that too. That just means that we are to be good stewards with whatever God gave us, which includes the animals that are on the earth. So we don't run around and chase birds at recess because it stresses the birds out. Now, if the birds are coming for your food and you go, get away, that's fine because it's your food. But to just run around and chase them is not a good way to treat God's creation, okay? All right. All right, that concludes everything. We talked about how we're supposed to manage. That's our job. We talked about how we're different, okay? So, yay! We will be back in the book tomorrow on Wednesday. And what I'd like you to do again, pick one brand new thing you learned from this video and put it in, not in the comments where everybody else can see, because I want you to think of your new thing and not go, oh yeah, I did learn that, and look at someone else's. So please put it in like you're turning in the assignment, okay? You can put it in a private comment or however you want to do it. But I don't want to see it everywhere. Does that make sense? Because I just want to see it. I don't want everybody else to see it. All right. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.